Can you give a brief introduction of yourself, your name, your pronouns, and who you are?
Yeah, hey, I'm Mr. Donahue, or Tim Donahue, fabulous 87 grad from St. Louis Park. Teach physical education here. Used to teach health and driver's ed, but now I'm just a full-time physical education teacher here at St. Louis Park High School. Teach 9th through 12th graders.
Nice. Do we also want to introduce ourselves again?
My name is Jaden Leary. My pronouns are he, him, and I'm a junior at St. Louis Park High School.
My name is Finn Berry, he, him pronouns, and I am a junior at St. Louis Park High School.
Yeah, I'm Thomas Halverson, he, him, and I'm also a junior.
I'm Forrest Sunday, he, him, and I am a junior.
Juniors all around.
Perfect. All right, my first question is, what was your high school experience like?
Wow. Fantastic. I think that's why I'm back here teaching here. I had such a good experience. Great teachers, great coaches.
Did you go to high school here?
Yeah. So I went here at St. Louis Park from 83 to 87. So I came in as a freshman in 83.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, right. But yeah, I love the park. I love St. Louis Park. Grew up here. I saw one place that I had read, the top 100 places to live if you have kids. Like, it's a great place for a kid to grow up, and I think that, I don't know if that has a lot to do with all the parks and stuff that are around here. There's a ton of parks in St. Louis Park, of all things, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. We were talking to Mr. Parks. We did this before, and he was saying that like the community here is very centered around the high school, which
It's
is
like a building block.
Yeah, it's that's what I think he said. That's what he said.
He
it's
said,
a building block of
St. Louis Park High School is the building block of like this whole place.
Yeah,
like everything kind of comes back to this place.
And when you like look at Edina or like,
there's no really notable, like you don't think of Edina High School when you first think of Edina. You would think of
rich,
snobby rich kids,
snobby rich country clubs, good at every sport. But like when you think here, you think of the high school, I feel like.
Yeah. What's you said sports and coaches. Did you play any sports while you went here?
Yeah. So I played 3 sports. I was football, hockey, and baseball. So my best sport was baseball. Even though I played college hockey after high school. My least favorite sport, at least to practice, was football. Because back in the day, unlike today, like I was at Gagliardi at St. John's, where your brother's going to go.
Yep.
Came up with this idea of no hitting during the week. And on game day, you hit. And like, oh my God, we'd hit every day. It seemed like, we'd have the day before a game, it'd be an easy walkthrough. But Monday through Wednesday, everything was just gauntlet drills and hitting. And there's always something that was hurting when you were walking out of practice. And so, least favorite sport to practice, but might be one of my favorite to play on game day. That was pretty amazing. But so played all 3 sports here. Played just 1 year, got some varsity time 1 year with football. Other than that, I played 3 years of hockey here and 3 years of baseball here at the varsity.
Nice.
And speaking of Edina, by the way, we're not allowed to have anything green in our house. Yeah. I just hauled the Christmas tree out that my wife tried to bring in. I'm like, it's out. It's green.
It's
cake
as it should be.
Is my pizza gonna?
No.
Gonna have the chomping noises?
We can edit. We can cut the mic a little bit if there's some chewing noises.
I can suppress the noise.
Yeah.
When did you start working here? Right after college?
So originally, I got hired in the district as a paraprofessional, physical education teacher, paraprofessional. So which means I got paid like $9 or $10 an hour. And I was basically doing everything that a FIA teacher would do. So I worked with Dan McEachern over at Susan Lindgren. That was my first job. I did that for a couple of years, and then I went into working with adapted PE. So I would travel around the district, working with special needs kids in physical education. And then the hockey job, the boys hockey job opened up here, and I put in for that, and I had gotten hired for that. And the principal at the time really was adamant about his coaches being in the building, looking over his athletes, right? Like that was a big thing, making sure they were going to class, making sure they were behaving. Like teachers they'd literally email me or call me and be like, hey, just a heads up, this is what happened with this kid. And I'd be like, thank you. I would address it and it wouldn't be a problem ever again. Like, and they would say, the teachers were like, oh, it is so nice. The kids are terrified if I call you. Like, don't call my coach. Please don't call my coach. They're like, what's going on there? I was like, well, I told them I got to behave, or you can sit on the bench, or they can not dress for a game. Just carry yourself well around the building. Follow the rules. Yeah. Do your homework. Go to class. Actually, my first year coaching, our starting goaltender decided we had a policy if you skip class, and I found out about it, that you would miss a game. And he didn't skip one class. He skipped 4 classes, or all of them. I'm trying to remember. I happened to see him. I went out on my prep. I don't know if I had to I don't know where I was going. Maybe to over one of the elementary schools, and I saw him. I saw him off campus. So he was skipping, and he didn't have any way to lie about it, right? And his parents couldn't call and excuse him, right? But so he missed our first. I sat him. And I had one parent come up to me and say, you trying to throw this season or what? Because we lost our first game. So this is the second game of the year. And now my starting goaltender is not going to play. So this dad is like, you trying to throw the whole season or what? And I was like, no, Jimmy broke a team rule. He knows the rules. He's got to sit. So Brennan's going. He's starting. The backup's starting. And we went into Minnetonka and won.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
Isn't that huge? Like,
Yeah.
And the other guys, I think, on the team were like, yes, he didn't follow a team rule. He should sit, right? I don't care if it's Jimmy or not. And they played harder than I've seen them play. Or had seen them play. But, sorry, you were asking about when I started here. So I started at St. Louis Park High School.
Good. Yeah.
1997-98 was my first year getting back to that, being hired as the hockey coach here, and then getting the physical education job.
Was that like that experience you had with your kids, like, was that reflective of like your experience as well when you were coach?
You mean the tough part, like being tough?
Mm-hmm.
Some of them actually, not enough. Yeah, actually, I wish we would have had that. I think we'd have won a lot more games. Our high school coach was a great guy. He was a great guy, really organized. The buses would always be there on time. The uniforms were always cleaned and washed and ready to go. But on the ice, the X's and O's were not his strength. And that was one of the things that when I went off to college, like I was all about learning the game, trying to, and then I wanted to come back here and make a difference. And, the dream was to always go to state. And when we came back here, and I was fortunate enough to be a part of 2 groups that went to state. And I was excited about that. But yeah, no, I think we'd have done better with, they always say you can't be successful without discipline.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I know that I'm an athlete here, and you are a very accomplished swimmer, and as are you. But I know that my coaches oftentimes make similar rules, but like find it hard to, like, when the time actually comes and they're playing that basketball game and we start to go down, they end up subbing that player in because they care more about the win than about the like message of like the like whole or the like principles of the thing. So I guess like what kind of gives you the like, you know, confidence, or like not confidence, like what helps you make that decision and like know that that was the right one to make at the time?
Well, I think it's sort of like, and this is before I became a parent, right? It's something that they tell you as a parent, and they told us as teachers too, in all the classes that we had, teaching classes in college, and you got to follow through. If you say you're going to miss a game, if you skip class and you're going to miss a game, and the kid skips class and everybody knows it, and you know, and they know you know it, and you don't follow through, you've just lost them. Yeah. They're not going to listen to anything you say at that point. It's like, he's just all talk. He talks tough, but he doesn't follow through. He doesn't do anything with it, right? And I'd probably be, I don't know, after being a dad and having 3 kids now, and I don't know, and being at the age that I'm at, I'd probably be a pushover. I'd probably be too soft. You know, I'd just be like, hey, did you have fun tonight? Be like, we lost 8-0. Be like, well, but did you have fun?
Are your kids like that, or are your kids athletic and like that?
Cam is. I know that.
Yeah, they played. Sadly, they played the same sports that Dad played, which I didn't want. Right, I wanted them to branch off and do other things, and maybe they took to those because I was able to coach them and help them in them a little bit. But they were probably better students than they were athletes. All I cared about. I was an athlete, right, and that was all I did was sports. I was not a great student in the classroom. I was okay. If I would have worked harder at it, I might have had the confidence to maybe go play some hockey for an Ivy League school, Princeton, who I had a scout come talk to me from Princeton, and I just didn't. I was like, it wasn't the right fit for me as a student. And maybe I would have had that confidence if I put more time in with the studies and with the books and with the classroom. But I was all about sports. Like, I'd come home from school and books up on the fridge, get something to eat, out the door, running, gunning, playing. I don't care if it was biking, skateboarding, playing street hockey, basketball in somebody's driveway, down at the park, touch football games, soccer. I don't care what it was. We'd play soccer in my backyard just because it was that time of year. Like baseball, you name it. And that's how I feel like I was just driven by sport. My wife was not like that at all. Her side of the family, judges, lawyers.
Oh, yeah.
Doctors. Like, just, my wife is really intelligent, super well-read, super smart. My boys, I was grateful that I think my boys mostly got my wife's genes in that regard. So, yeah. They played sports, and all I wanted them to take from sport was understanding what it meant to work for something and working with others, dealing with adversity, going through tough times. How do you handle a bad performance? How do you handle losing in a game? How do you handle it when officials make a bad call? What's your response? You know, I wanted them, really is all about character. Like, how many times have you seen a really good athlete in some sport that you've played, but the kid is just a flake, or like they're super athletic, but they can't be counted on for anything. Crunch time, you know, they've got all these loose ends all over the place in their world.
Yeah.
Not going to class, not passing their classes. Are they going to be eligible when grades come out semester time? Like, yeah. I didn't care if they were athletic, great, but they were going to have integrity. They were going to have honesty. They were going to, right? Yeah. They were going to have the intangibles, right?
Yeah, I think that's super important. I think my parents they're kind of similar where my mom was a lawyer and her dad a doctor, and like, whereas my dad, he went D1 and then pro for golfing, and like they kind of had a similar thing, but then they like brought me up. They just tried to like give me access to everything, where they put me in every sport. I like had been playing piano through like 9th grade. I had been like reading at like a very high level.
He was a smarty pants in
back in like 2nd grade.
All right.
Because my parents kind of like tried to like not like push me into that, but like allow all of those gateways to like be open. And like again, to that like integrity thing, that's a big part of like how they've tried to raise me, is like if you make, or if you say that you're gonna do something, you have to do it. Like that's a big part of it. They've been like, in basketball games, I've never like had to get mad or like yell at refs, or because the way that they've raised me, I feel like it's like I like owe it a lot to them, and I feel like that connects a lot to what you're saying for me. Yeah, that's all I really had to say. But
yeah, I grew up like sort of like medium sports wise. Like I did gymnastics for pretty much my entire like young life, and then I played a little bit basketball, and then I think it was probably like 7th grade, like I just sort of stopped doing sports. 8th grade, came into 9th in high school, and I started working out personally. Because I started working at the rec center, like right over there, and I was basically a trash boy for my first year working there. So my entire summer I was just lifting trash, and I came home one day and my mom was like, "Look, we got trash gains," or something like that, because I had like gotten a little bit of muscle from just lifting trash all the time. And I like looked in the mirror. I was like, "Wow, I gained some muscle." So then I was like, "I don't really want to lose this. Like this feels good." So then I started working out my entire freshman year, and then my beginning of sophomore year. Then I joined swim, and then swim was profound for me. It taught me a lot of discipline that I thought I think I had a head start, because when I was in the gym I took it very seriously, I didn't quit at all. And then I took that mentality to swim, and it got me so far, and then I was like, I have to go a little bit farther. And due to that reason, I was really good at swimming. Unfortunately, I can't do it this year, because I think similar to your kids, like my ambition for life is not athletics at all. I see this like a mental health thing to do, like working out and stuff. That's why like whenever people are like if my grade dips or something, I will never give up working out just to get my grade back up, because I understand that if I give up working out, then I know my grade will go down, because my mental health would deteriorate. And I think that when I was in swim, like it was so profoundly helpful for my mental health, where I got the best grades I did my entire life up to that point. Like I got all A's and 1B by the end of, I think, 2nd semester, and then 1st semester was all A's and 2B's. And that was like something, like it was a huge jump. Like if you look at my freshman year grades compared to my sophomore year grades, it was a lot of things like played a role in that. But like I think one of them was like swim taught me a lot of discipline of like just doing your homework even when you don't feel like it, because you had to jump in the water like Friday at like
6 in the morning.
6 in the morning, cold freezing water at 6 in the morning, which he's currently doing now. So I'm sorry,
Right.
but yeah.
So you all like your ice in liquid form instead of
Yeah.
frozen form, like Donnie.
Yeah.
I just like when I've been growing up, I've always just been doing swimming. I've been swimming for 12, 11 years, so it's always just been my sport. And I tried doing hockey because I come off of my dad playing hockey, being varsity for 4 years. My uncle went to St. Thomas, and now my brother's going to St. John's and played in Alaska for 2 years. So it kind of just made sense for me to play hockey, but I just wasn't as drawn to it as them. But then I started doing like FOSS just to learn how to swim. Yep. And I did it. I completed the whole thing in 2 weeks. So my grandpa was just like, just put him in a club, see how he does. And I haven't left since. And I feel like it's just been a blessing and it's something to just keep you in line, like just mentally. Like you have to put in the work to get the outcome that you want. Like, and I feel like that's just kind of sticked with me with school and just in life in general.
Oh,
Like,
that's
just
so
kinda-
huge. I love hearing you say that because think about how huge that is, and like your parents just letting you do that, right? Like there's a lot of parents that because they wouldn't let their kids swim because they weren't swimmers,
Yeah.
right? Or they would never introduce it to them, or they would be like, "No, you're playing hockey."
Yeah.
You know, your dad wasn't like forcing it down your throat,
Mhm.
right? Like just you got to do this because I did this, like, and living
Yeah.
vicariously through their kids. So good on your folks for that.
Yeah.
And I mean, kind of similar, but like my dad golfed. He was, that was his big thing. Like again, he like let me kind of explore, and like he put me through everything and like had me find my own path. And like every summer I played golf, but I also played tennis and I played soccer, and I like really loved playing tennis. And like he kind of like he didn't. I think part of it is because my sister loved golf, and so she kind of got to like take up his mantle kind of. But like he let me and my brother kind of choose our own path. I feel like I keep saying that, but like I've been playing tennis since like third, fourth grade, and I haven't stopped because that's what I love doing. And like both of my parents, my mom never played any sports, but she keeps coming to my matches and like watching me, and they've like learned a lot about tennis too, like from watching me, and in order to like kind of like know me better and like relate to me more. And I think that's a huge thing that like they've done for me personally. So
Mhm.
Well, it is the game of love.
yeah.
So they're showing a lot of love. That's awesome. I remember my dad. You know, he was retired by the time I came along. You know, he was 48 when I was born.
Yeah.
Right. So he's almost 50 years old when I'm born. But he would bring his pot of coffee. Like he'd have this thermos that he'd fill up with coffee, and the lid was used as a cup. And he'd come sit in the stands when I'm playing football or hockey or baseball. He'd come to practice and just not there like to give me feedback afterwards and be critical of how I was performing, or he'd just sit up there with a smile, and he just enjoyed watching his son play.
Yeah.
And he never had a bad word to say about a coach.
Mm-hmm.
That was the one thing that I think's kind of gone. My dad was kind of he was old school, and like back in the day, you didn't want your teachers to contact home because you got in worse trouble at home. Like they sided with the teachers, they backed the teachers, and not always. That wasn't always right? Because adults aren't always right.
Yeah.
Right. So there's goods and bads to that. But for sure, one of the things that I think that generation, my dad's generation, you know, he, like I said, he was born in 1919. You know, he fought in World War II. And,
Oh yeah.
I mean, that generation just, they wouldn't say anything bad about any teachers or coaches, you know, in front of their kids.
Yeah.
I think today it's just, I think coaches for sure are just open season.
Oh yeah.
Where parents just, and I don't think they realize how poison it is to do in front of their son or daughter, like just ripping the coach to shreds, like, because that your son or daughter has to play for them,
Yeah.
and now you've just created a conflict. Like, do I listen to my parents who I've lived with my whole life, or do I listen to my coach? I like this coach, but my mom and dad says they're a whatever, right? They're a horrible person. They're, you know, But
Yeah.
anyway.
No, I fully agree with that. I mean, if it makes you feel a certain way, it was my great grandpa who, well, both of my great grandparents I think 3 out of my 4 great grandparents fought in the Second World War. And like I don't remember a lot about them because they died when I was pretty young, but like I like have some memories, and like they were like some of the most respectful people you've ever met. They like held such like they held people and like just like human life and like such high regard, and like had such respect for like any job anyone was doing. And I feel like now part of it is because there's just so much widespread information everywhere that like people think that they know more than everyone else, and so they're like, I know all about basketball, so I think that because of that your basketball coach isn't doing good enough because they think that they know more than the coach, or I think that I know more than your tennis coach or swimming or whatever. And I think that it's like if anyone could do it, anyone would be doing it. Like it's not an easy job, and I think it's important to like kind of recognize that.